Can you imagine that actually? I can't imagine being Mary and having to tell my fiance that I was pregnant, but I didn't have sex to get pregnant. Like, no one would believe you. A lot of people didn't, by the way, but like no one would believe you. And I can't imagine the anxiety she was probably feeling and the stress of like having to tell her partner that while also acknowledging that there's a very likely chance, like a high chance of him not believing that that's true, because what? That's like impossible. I put impossible in air quotes because obviously not though, right? God can do whatever he wants. So she's impregnated by the Holy Spirit. I can only imagine the anxiety she was feeling. And I can only imagine also what Joseph was feeling. So angry. I'm sure he was so upset, so hurt, felt so betrayed, probably felt super lied to because she's sitting there saying she didn't, but she's literally pregnant. So like, how else did you get pregnant then, girl? You know? So he was going to end it with her. Literally was going to break off the engagement, but had enough mercy for her, even probably in all of, you know, the anger and frustration and confusion and hurt that he was feeling in that, to not do it publicly, but he was just gonna like quietly break off the engagement. But before he could do that, an angel came to him in a dream saying, hey, by the way, you don't need to be afraid to marry Mary. You don't need to be afraid to make Mary your wife, because the child within her was conceived by the Holy Spirit and she's going to have a son. By the way, you're going to name him Jesus, and he's going to save his people from their sins. That is like the craziest news you could ever receive ever in the history of ever. I think about this and I'm like, wow, Mary and Joseph were like real ones. The faith that they both had to have. To me, I'd be like, this goes against any of my own understanding, and I have no idea how this is possible. I don't actually know what you're talking. What do you mean? What? I'd be like, what? So the faith that they had to have to just keep going in this kind of scenario is crazy. But obviously the Lord trusted them with this because he knew that they could. But it's like, wow, I can't imagine